All right, so here is the rest of day 16. So for video 2, I'm going to go over simple and compound interest, an example problem, and then post the key so that way you can go through and look at those answers. All right. I encourage you to work through the problems, see how you're doing with them. And you do not turn in your notes for me. So for simple interest, we talked about it on day 15. You have these formulas. I was interest, PO was your principal, so forth. And then when you're using time, just as a quick note, banker's rule is 360 days instead of 365. But T should be years. So if you're doing 30 days, you would divide it by 360, for example. Now, compound interest is where we're now interest on the interest. How would you know which one? Well, it would have to tell you. It would have to say you have simple versus you have compound. Compound interest is that formula we've been working with. And what it does is PN is now the balance at the end instead of A. PO is initial value. R is that annual rate in decimal. N is years. And K is something called a compounding period. So if you're giving interest on the interest monthly, K is 12. If you're doing quarterly, K is 4. If you're doing daily, a regular daily is 365. Banker's rule is 360. If you're doing weekly, K is 52. So it's just the number of times that would occur in 1 year. All right. And so down here, we are told though, oh, hold on. It's going haywire. Hold on. We're told that we're going to do simple interest. So we're still focusing on simple interest, but you're going to see a lot of the compound this week in your 154. I know it's simple interest because it tells me. Okay. So let's dive into this. Jessica borrows. Here's her PO. Here's the thing. Her T is in days. If we're using the banker's rule would be 60 days, 360 days in 1 year. So it's 60 over 360 for T. There's my R. So here's part A. Part A is asking interest on the loan. So I would do PO, which is 525 times her rate times her time. And I'm going to leave it at 60 over 360. I'm not going to make it more complicated than it needs to be. Leave it alone. Just write it as is. So her interest, if I type all that in exactly how I saw it, is $5.16. Make sure you're typing it exactly how you see it. No parentheses needed. Use those calculators. Then it says, what's the loan's future value? That means how much is it worth now? That's how much you borrowed plus how much interest you're going to pay. You borrowed 525. You're going to pay 516. So in those 60 days, you're going to end up paying 530 and 16 cents. Then we're going to change it. Well, what's the interest and future value if we use the 365? This was the banker's rule. Now let's change it. What's going to change is your T. So T is now 60 over 365. The rest is the same. PO times the rate times 60 divided by 365 is now $5.09. So you owe less interest. So the loan's future value is also slightly less, not by much, but slightly. You know, there's a 7-cent difference. All right, the rest of the problems, I want you to work on your own and check against the answer key, and have a wonderful week.